So welcome back to obviously Fight Talk. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see, and if you're listening on audio, you're about to find out. We're not saying he's the best. We're just saying there's nobody better. Brendan Dorman. Welcome back to obviously Fight Talk, my man.
Thanks for having me back, fellas. Let's do it.
Let's do it. We have a beautiful card this weekend, and we're going to flip things up a little bit because we're on time constraints here. So we're going to start with the main event of the evening. It's for the UFC heavyweight title. We got Stipe Miocic taking on Francis Ngannou. Brendan, I want to pass it to you first. How was this fight won? Go.
I think Stipe has good enough movement, good enough footwork, good enough experience boxing to stay away longer than, say, Alistair did, unless his plan is to be aggressive and implement wrestling early. Like kind of, I don't want to say banking on, but maybe hoping to exploit on what we don't even know really in Ngannou's cardio, right? Or grappling for that matter. I know what I know, but what I know is not necessarily public information. And then to me, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, because I love Stipe for a couple of reasons. I love the blue collar thing. I love the loyalty thing that he's got going on. There's that, and he's a firefighter. My father is a retired firefighter now, but was a lifelong firefighter. So there's all these reasons to love the guy. Yeah. But sometimes you got to look at these things as business. I often have to, and I don't see anybody beating Ngannou, honestly. I think it's going to be a matter of time thing. So I don't think it'll be like a first round 10-second in thing. I think it'll be more like a second round thing. I don't see it going into the championship rounds, though. I don't think anyone can survive that guy. He just, some of the stuff I've alluded to seeing that's not necessarily for the public consumption. Let's just say like capoeira kicks, like things that 155ers struggle with, that he's doing effortlessly at 270. He's just the freakiest of freaks. And at some point, we knew this guy was coming. I mean, people kind of thought it might be with Lesnar, but his striking didn't come up enough to kind of scare anyone. And as a wrestler, again, anyone would know that sparred, it's more work to implement your game than someone who's a freak of nature power puncher or power finisher, because it's over. Khabib's got to work for it. Damian Maia's got to work for it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a little different when you have, like glancing blow power. You know what I mean? Interesting fight. I think the most I've been excited about a heavyweight fight in 10 years, maybe, about, give or take.
What do you think
So, I got it. Go ahead.
Sorry, wait, like with Stipe, like the power thing is obviously like it's something I'll talk about as well, because a lot of people just see Ngannou as power. He's a lot more than that. Like as you were saying, his movement, the array of strikes he can throw. He's not just a one-trick knockout punch, but like Stipe has fought guys with knockout power, such as Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem, right down to even like Andrei Arlovsky. Fair enough, Arlovsky was he's coming near his time then. Mark Hunt, of course, who was the walk-away specialist. But do any of them even have a little bit of what Ngannou can offer? As in, and I'm not just talking about power.
No, because it's the movement in order to put himself in a position to then use the power. It sounds really He-Man-ish, but he's so agile, and he has such good coaches around him, whether it's Vinny Magalhaes on the ground. He's got a really good wrestling coach whose name evades me at the moment, Dewey Cooper, and then he's got his guy from France who's like his original guy. It's the guy that kind of, I think, found him, for lack of a better way to put it. Dewey's a movement guy. Dewey's not just teaching people, like on pads when cameras are around, he's kind of like a tie pad holder. You don't see him doing much but kind of giving instruction, but behind the scenes, he's teaching people the like intricacies of flicking your hip as your foot is turning on the ball of your foot, and when to angle out where, and what chains well off of what strike. I mean, he could teach him anything. Dewey, don't forget, was a world-class kickboxer himself. So he really understands the things, not only how to communicate them as a coach, but how to actually do them, which sometimes is important. You can't learn jiu-jitsu from a book. You can learn about it.
So
this guy's learning from the best. He's exceptionally freaky. So I don't think those guys are comparable, if that answers your question.
in a way as well. So right, we've got Francis covered how he's going to get the way to victory. But do you see a way that Stipe? What about experience? You think experience could come into it? Maybe he's too soon. Maybe he's the bridesmaid here and not the bride. Potentially, do you think that could come into it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be a doofus to say no. I mean, we're talking about Stipe up until this Ngannou. You can't say fad because it's very real. So realization of this super athlete that cuts to 265 with no fat, moves like a tiger or whatever I compare him to. He's just the freakiest of the freaks, and I think. If your Stipe, yes, experience comes into play, he's got great power himself. Oh, yeah. Really good footwork. He's agile. He's a phenomenal athlete for a heavyweight, but he's about 240. Significantly smaller frame, and that's where the wrestling and the things that he's probably better at. I mean, unless Ngannou picks up grappling as fast, which who knows? Honestly, it's the question mark would certainly be that. Can he survive on the ground? Can he get back to his feet? But there's also, like, when someone's that strong, unless your wrestling technique is otherworldly, like GSP versus a novice guy. Like he there's a video of him wrestling kind of like a brute from the Pittsburgh Penguins, like a hockey player, and he just wrestled the shit out of him with technique. Guy outweighed him by like 100 pounds. But this is different, I think Ngannou might be that strong, judging by the clinch work with Overeem. And if you saw him in the interview, he's like, when he clinched with me, all I could think was, don't ever show me your power that early. I was like, holy shit. Like, this guy is, I don't know. There's this feeling, man. And it's not rooting, and it's not because he's working with Dewey, because I gave you a ton of reasons that I like Stipe. He can win if he's evasive. And at heavyweight, anyone who gets caught in the chin, we saw this with Kane Jr. won. If you get caught with a big shot, you're going to sleep. I think if he wears him down and wrestles him and, I don't know, just avoids the tornado that is Ngannou, he has a chance. Yeah, of course he does.
One thing you
put
brought
money
up,
on him? No.
One thing you brought up, and it was something that I was thinking about leading up to this fight, was the whole divisional thing. The only reason why both these guys are heavyweight fighters is because somebody set that weight. Somebody told us they're heavyweight fighters. But if you look at these two guys, they're significantly different in frame and different in size. They should probably a different weight class, and the only reason they're not is because we said they're not. That's the only reason. If you look at these guys, and if they were lighter,
I know what you
mean. They would not be the same weight class. They would be could be 2 weight classes apart. The only reason they're both heavyweights is because heavyweight is such a huge mark. And I think that when you put that into context, and when you think of Ngannou being this freak athlete who can move a similar weight than Stipe, I think the only reason why 245, 240, maybe 235 has been the sweet spot for heavyweight is because the guys that were that big just didn't move like Ngannou. But I think possibly we'll see that Francis Ngannou, or guys Francis Ngannou's size, can be the ideal weight for heavyweight. But I don't think it was that in the past because they just didn't have the athleticism that he has.
Well, that's when Brock and Mir, remember Mir put on all the muscle mass to try and keep up with Brock.
And he did worse. He got decimated because Brock's skill level was exponential. But Brock got so good on the ground.
Yeah. But
he handled Mir, a world-class heavyweight black belt. Handled him easily.
It looked at that stage that's how heavyweight fighting in the UFC was going to go. Was going to be all these bulk guys.
And then Alistair, remember Alistair, like right after?
Uberim
version. Yeah, terrifying. So there's always been this debate, right? Because Tyson was like 220. You can go back in time to Rocky Marciano being like 180. Yeah. Heavyweights, we could... That's kind of a historical argument, really. When you look at Ngannou, you're like, there might be a cruiserweight division coming because... whether it's 230, like you said, or 225, I've always felt 205 to 265 is absurd. Huge. And people like 205, they're not going to not like 230 or whatever they decide on, 225 or something. But probably 230, I think, makes sense.
I think the thing with this fight is evasion. Can Stipe avoid these shots? And it's something as well, Brendan, when we recapped when he knocked out Overeem, You said you said the great thing where he put the hand out to drag Overeem into that shovel hook.
There's a lot he did in that little 1 second real time blip. That's the sign of a computer of a brain working. Just because his English isn't perfect, don't sleep on the guy's like ring IQ.
So
cage IQ.
You've got 25 minutes for Stipe to avoid that sort of being set into a trap. And the thing I'd say, like, Stipe has one punch power. You do believe that. You do see it.
Does.
But the frightening thing is with Ngannou. It looks like Ngannou, if he even like catches with a strong jab, that he'd knock you out. So that's why it's interesting. Like, I honestly think you're foolish if you wipe away and say Stipe has no chance here. I think experience and veteran savvy,
like what we said for the Alistair Overeem fight. If Alistair Overeem won that fight, we probably would have seen something from Ngannou that we haven't seen before, some kind of weakness. And I still think that applies. We haven't seen that much from him, and it's quite possible that he doesn't have a brilliant game off his back. That's quite possible. We just don't know. But I do think your point of he needs to stay away from that power. Stipe needs to stay away from that power, that early power, because he does get caught really early a lot.
Yeah, he does.
Stipe, you're saying gets caught, right?
Yeah. Early.
He has a tendency to, and with this guy, you cannot.
No, that's the big problem.
And he's not only stronger and has more power in his hands, because punching power, you can look at like a Tommy Hearns. It doesn't always equate to being muscular or big or anything like that. A lot of times it's just frame. They've done studies on like wrist size. They're all kind of ancillary facts, but he moves so goddamn well. It's everything, and you cannot get clipped by that guy. You're not getting up. Like, he's not going to hit you and then try to do an arm and guillotine. He's just going to keep smashing your face through the canvas, as we've seen. I don't feel like I did with the Overeem fight. Remember my take on that was like poor Overeem.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like that with this one. I think Stipe's got a chance for sure, like an actual legitimate chance. There's something about Ngannou, and I've been, the first video I did on him, I'm like, this guy is the future. I mean, before on my last channel, it was one of the last videos I made. I'm like, the future is now, because F ends, his initials. He's a terrifying dude. He might get caught, and then he'll just be back, scarier.
That's the thing. That's the one thing I said when at our end of year show, Rob done a segment where we said, will the champion be the champion this day next year? And if not, who will be? And when we got to the heavyweights, I said, no, Stipe will not be the champion. It'll be Francis Ngannou. I said, but I'm not saying Ngannou will beat him in January. He just will be the champion this time. He will be the champion.
Yeah. So what's your pick?
Francis Ngannou. I'm going to pick Francis here. Just, again, I don't think it's going to be easier than whatever. I'm not saying we're saying it's easy, but I think some minds are saying this is easy. He's just going to knock him out. I think this is going to be his hardest fight. And I honestly think that he is going to be put under pressure here. I can see Ngannou getting hurt here. And funny, I can see the finish coming from a heavy exchange where Ngannou possibly is hurt and he counters and lands on Stipe and puts Stipe out. But I can see Stipe hurting Francis Ngannou or putting the most pressure we've ever seen him in this fight. I think the champion is going to come and fight like a champion and go out on his sword if he has to go out on his sword.
I think that's the great thing about this fight. I think a lot of things can happen. I think we can expect a lot of things to happen. I think an early finish is possible on both sides. I really do. But I just can't get past that freaky Francis Ngannou power that he has in the first round, and the fact that Stipe Miocic gets hit in the first round. I just don't know how physically anyone can recover from that. If Stipe Miocic does get hit from Francis Ngannou and recovers and wins, that guy is an absolute stud. And he is a stud already, but I'm going to have to go with Francis Ngannou. I just can't look past that.
No, we can't. Freakish.
I can't picture the fight playing out and Ngannou getting murked. I just can't. I don't know. I played it, believe me, I have, because I was thinking of breaking it down, but I've just done enough work on both of them already that I'm like kind of But, and plus I can just have you watch this show, right? I just, when I saw him evade Alistair, that was as impressive as the shovel hook. The way that he kind of came in and then reset and framed his elbow to push his shoulder off to load up the show. I mean, that's just so high level as a striker. That's something you see from like Nicky Holtzkin, who weighs 170. He weighs 270. What the fuck is going to happen? You know what I'm saying? I could see Stipe getting deep on a double and him just like, shrugging him off. Because Overeem's just as dominant in the clinch, more so than Stipe's ever been with his wrestling. So what's going to be this magical difference? He's not, who's that Russian guy that won for like 20 years straight in the Olympics? That scary Russian wrestler. I can't think of his name. It doesn't matter. The point is, it's not going to be that easy. Plus, you start standing, Who
was it? Somebody said
I got Ngannou before the championship rounds finishing.
Ngannou before championship. Somebody said a quote, something like, they're going to make it illegal for Francis Ngannou to hit people soon. He hits with that ferocity. I can't remember who it was.
I think we should move on.
Yeah, it's a co-main event. Also, an incredible fight. And again, in a similar way, you've your champion, whose only defeats in mixed martial arts are to John Jones, taking on Volkan Oezdemir, who Volkan, again, a lot of what people are saying, it's the unknown with Volkan Oezdemir. Is he good off his back? Can he take a shot? Can he do that? We don't know, because he's knocking guys out within inside 25 seconds. Yeah. So, Cormier, similar to has Stipe faced anyone like Oezdemir? Is it safe to say that Cormier has a win over Anthony Rumble Johnson, who was probably the most like Oezdemir?
He is the most like, but it's more like Oezdemir is Rumble 2.0. If you've been, I don't want to talk out of school, so I'm going to keep things a little vague, and people that are smart can just put them together. I'm never going to answer their questions. Don't bother. Rumble is notorious in practice for not finding sparring partners, but if he does and they do well, kind of, right? Volkan doesn't, adjust his gloves every 4 seconds, for instance, right? Volkan was Rumble's one sparring partner he had for those 2 DC fights that was always there willing to stand and trade, but doesn't break. And this is going from his coaches to me directly. We'll see.
Interesting.
Also, Luke Rockhold has been training
what's up with that?
With Oezdemir. Is that right?
From what I hear, Volkan's not worried about Luke.
So vague.
I feel like I've opened like a Sudoku puzzle book or something like.
What I'll say is, it is an excellent fight. This is a great fight. I really don't know where to go with it, though. Personally, I don't know where to go with it. I genuinely don't. I think we have.
Do you guys think DC's thinking it's a layup?
No.
Or do you think that's just talk?
No, I don't think he does. I think he thinks it's a really, really difficult fight, and rightly so. I just think we really haven't seen a whole lot from Oezdemir on our end. We just haven't seen, especially in the UFC, he's been just finishing people really, really quickly. We've seen a lot from DC. We know what DC can do, and we've seen what DC can do with guys with big power. Does that apply to this fight? I don't know. DC hasn't won a fight since he got head kicked by John Jones. What's he going to look like? DC has been talking about retirement. How is that going to play?
No, you look as well. See, one thing I'd say is you look at when DC fought Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva hurt DC.
Yeah.
Anthony Rumble Johnson hurt DC.
Yeah.
And John, now,
got overzealous.
He came back to win the fights, in fairness to him, but then John Jones knocked him out.
Yeah. So
you gotta worry. You gotta think that maybe DC's chin isn't where it was, and Oezdemir had how Rob says it is great. Actually, it's a great comparison for me. And Rob, obviously, he said it. Oezdemir has this knockout power, almost like Kill Bill, or like you say, it's the Shane Carman power. Where she's stuck in the coffin in Kill Bill and she's doing that.
Yeah.
He can
it's an inch punch.
Yeah. He can
the Bruce Lee punch.
Where am I like this?
Yeah.
It's learning how to create power from here to your hand.
Yeah.
And all it is a matter of relaxation. Like I always tell you guys, when I used to explain like Joanna's jab, the power of it is you have an object right here and you can't pull your arm back, right? So you have to be able to forward.
Yeah.
Nice.
Right? So it's like a trick. I can do it, I could break a board with that really easily. It's not hard. Just focusing your pressure and learning how to see my hand. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
You kind of coil it, and then at the last minute is when you kind of flick out. It's a lot more violent than that of emotion, but that's essentially it broken down. Volkan has no time, has no space needed to create torque, to create power. We've seen it twice now. With Misha Serkinov, it was like a short little right over, and with those shots in the clinch, which was just beautiful. Against Manoa, the way he snuck that uppercut in that left hook as he pulled him in from one side and then pulled him into the temple on the other. It's just short power that he's generating, and that's that's what they're worried about, right? Because if they see these long, like Rumble throws long punches. So when he knocked him down in their first fight, if you notice right afterwards, he charged at him and threw this right hand straight out of a street fight and missed him. So much so that he fell to the ground, and that's how DC got his momentum back and eventually persevered. I don't see Volkan making that mistake. He seems a lot more cerebral than that to me. I love Rumble, by the way. It sounds like I'm bashing him, and I really don't mean to be at all. I love that guy.
The point that you made of the short punch is an interesting one as well, because if Daniel Cormier is a Greco-Roman wrestler, so he likes getting on the clinch. He doesn't really shoot takedowns from the outside.
I was going to say that's where.
No, it's high C's, high crotch, right? And he'll chain off of that. Sometimes he'll try to scoop up from there. Yeah. Or he'll do like crackdowns, which is like if I have someone's left leg coming at me and I get a high C and I crack down my shoulder to that side. Or he'll use the crackdown to then ankle pick, like those kind of chains. But it is more Greco than say folk style or freestyle wrestling. Yeah. And that kind of person, I mean, that's why Jones was so good against him, because that's Jones' background too. But when you got a guy taller than you and you're trying to get upper body, clinches, and someone's got crazy inside power from said area, like I can see a lot of ways that Volkan can, use his power. He may want distance, which is hard to create against DC, but if you have the right footwork, maybe not so much. DC's a little clunky on his feet. He's very flat-footed. Yeah. So if someone's like being fleet of foot, say, with him and intelligent with their angles, they may not have to fend off 1,000 takedowns. You know what I mean? A guy like that, he's similar to Ngannou. It's not. I don't think it's quite DEFCON 6 or whatever the fuck they call it, but it's not nuclear power. It's like just one step under. It's both of them just terrifying, put you to sleep power.
What's your pick, Noli?
I think Father Time could potentially be a factor in this fight. Also, with expiry dates of chins, I think the savvy veteran of DC could also come to the forefront here. But I think we could have a new champion here in Volkan Oezdemir.
So 2 new champs.
2 new champions. I just think power, youth, all that is just... I know, but for Volkan it's youth. I just think DC... I don't think he's underestimating, as you were saying. Do you think he could be? I don't think he's underestimating, but as you both alluded to, Daniel Cormier does his best work close up like that, and that's the opening Oezdemir wants and can work from. We've seen his devastating power, but it will be interesting to see if Daniel Cormier can drag Volkan into the deep waters of the latter stages of the fight to see where it goes. But yeah, I think we'll be crowning a new champion. Rob?
Yeah, it's a... Yeah, for me, I was gonna pick, I suppose, I was thinking Daniel Cormier, just for the reasons of we haven't really seen Volkan on his back that much. We haven't really seen him in a fight like that in the UFC. But the more that I think of it, and the more that I think of the time that Daniel Cormier has been off, the knockout loss, and just Father Time,
and the fact that the whole everything that happened with that,
it's
like that was an emotional defeat for DC.
Emotional defeat, yeah.
So all that,
I'm going Volkan Oezdemir. I'm going Volkan Oezdemir. I think, again, it's one of them ones where I wouldn't be surprised if Daniel Cormier pulled off what he's pulled off so many times. I'm not underestimating him at all. I think he's an excellent fighter. I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves, but I'm going with Volkan Oezdemir to land something crazy and maybe catch him when Daniel Cormier is in for a clinch or something. Catch him on something crazy. Maybe like one of those crazy elbows that it was at Travis Brown. Something like that. Something weird like that. But yeah, I'm going to go with Volkan Oezdemir. New champ again.
New champ.
I'm gonna chime in. And Newell. Let's see it. 205 needs it.
I think it does.
I'm partially picking with rooting interests.
I think as well that as much as we're saying it needs it, I think it sounds like we're being unkind to Daniel Cormier. I don't think so. I just think...
I love DC.
Yeah,
it's not personal.
I'm a big fan of Daniel Cormier, both in the cage and outside the cage. I love him on commentary. But I just think, you know, DC has spoke retirement, and for the healthiness of the division, I think Volkan Oezdemir would shoot a bolt of lightning of energy into the division.
He's 28 too.
Yeah,
Don't forget.
I definitely.
He's 10 years younger. You know.
Looking down the card, we have Shane Burgos taking on Calvin Carter. Am I saying that? Gatter.
Skip it.
We also have Jean Vellante, obviously Mr. Ray Longo's gym with Matt Serra.
Yep.
So love hearing them guys in the corner.
Guys.
Taking on Francimir Barroza.
Yeah, of course I'm gonna root for my guys.
Yeah.
And Jean Vellante, it's like,
I know John's been a roller coaster ride to root for.
He really has.
But you don't. It shows you the power of Dana too. You know, you have a little beef with Dana, and all of a sudden, I know all about it. You know, you do him if he feels like you've done anything a little dirty or out of school. He's buried that guy a ton. You know.
They must be back
It's
good friends now.
It's Vellante, right? I think it's Vellante. Haven't they have like a little public beef? Thought they did.
Well, it wasn't Vellante. He was on the Dana White looking for a fight there not too long ago.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. When was that filmed?
Oh, I'm thinking of I'm thinking of their other guy, not Aljo. There's Weidman, of course.
Al Quinton.
Al Quinton.
Yeah, Al. Crazy Al.
Crazy Al.
I just totally brain farted. Anyway, yeah, he's great.
We'll
Sorry.
edit that. We're not editing that. But yeah, Vellante, he's got a real mixed bag in results here. He's coming off the decision to Patrick Cummins.
For me, he's one of those guys who feels like he's really a frustrating fighter. He seems to get in fights where you think he's going to win, you think he's going to go in there and apply the game plan that seems to be in place, does okay for a round, and then just neglects it and it turns into a brawl and he loses.
It looked like a good fight for him because like I was a big fan of Mauricio Shogun Hua, but for me I thought he was I thought he was taking on Shogun at the right time. You know what I mean? Coming near the fairy tale end of
Shogun's so ranked.
Shogun is like number 5 or something in the world, isn't he?
Yeah.
But like, it was a big fight for Vellante, and he fell short there. He got knocked out by Mauricio Shogun Hua. So I think this is certainly a must-win for Jean Vellante. We then have Thomas Almeida, which is always I really enjoy watching Thomas Almeida. Is taking on Rob Font. Yeah.
I love this fight.
Rob Font.
Yeah,
Rob Font's a friend of mine.
Oh well.
Yeah. So go Rob. He's out of Sadia Tong in Botwell. It's right outside of Boston in Somerville. I've trained with him. Good guy, man. Awesome dude. So I'm rooting for him. Just I can't not root against. You know what I mean?
What sort of
no matter what.
I
love Almeida a lot. I think he's excellent. But Rob Font's my guy. That's my dude.
What style of fighter would you say he is, Brendan? Just for the people listening, if they're unsure of.
Well, both of them. He's got good jiu-jitsu. Yeah. He's got good striking, good shot selection, accuracy, and toughness, man. Yeah. Great work ethic. He's one of those kids at the gym every day early. Yeah. Like, because I have to drive far to get to their gym. So anytime I was out there, he'd be there before me, you know, just warming up, shadow boxing with people, whatever. You know, he's a hard worker. And when you get Della Grate and some of those black belts, my main man, Loco Lobo, works with him. He's a black belt under Daniel Gracie. Obviously, it's Henzo lineage. I got a lot of reasons to root for the kid. I like him a lot.
And again, you look at then Thomas Almeida. Like Thomas Almeida's only losses are to Jimmy Rivera and Cody Garbrandt.
Thomas Almeida's a really good fighter. Really good fighter. I just hope that he doesn't go down the road of Eric Silva. You know, and I know I'm just comparing the two Brazilian guys, but Eric Silva at one point
was... Eric Silva pissed hot, though, bud.
Don't forget that. But Eric Silva was the guy who came into the UFC as the Brazilian hope, the guy that he thought was going to be the big one. And now Thomas Almeida is similar, and he's lost a couple of fights, and that crazy win streak is gone. So I hope he doesn't turn into that guy, but I like this fight a lot. Rob Font, as you said, great fighter, really good on the feet as well. He had a really competitive fight with John Lineker on the feet, which is impressive to say the least. So I like this one.
He hung in there.
Yeah,
Lineker's terrifying for that size, man. Yeah. Jesus.
My famous fight with Almeida, and it was quite weird. We had Brad Pickett on the show, and I was like, Brad, it sounds weird probably saying one of my favourite fights with you was when you fought the Thomas Almeida, because Thomas Almeida knocked Brad Pickett out with a flying knee.
Yeah, I know.
But
knee.
The first round was probably the best Brad Pickett you've ever seen. Brad Pickett
Oh,
looked phenomenal in
smashing
the
it.
opening round. And I was like, this young pup coming in here thinking he's going to beat Brad Pickett. And that's what it looked like. And then Almeida pulled off the flying knee from the depths of hell.
Yeah.
I know.
Incredible fight. And
Pre him, Cody, when I used to do pre-fight breakdowns more, I don't really like doing them too much anymore. Pre that fight, everyone in the comment section was so pro Almeida, and Cody has no chance. And I wasn't in a position of knowing too much other than what I see for movement. This is very similar to how I look at Ngannou versus Stipe. It's just how I've been watching this pattern recognition thing for a long time. Obviously, I'm okay at it. People tend to want to hear what I have to say. And it's like that kind of thing where I'm like, Cody's got way better footwork, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas Almeida was very boxy hands, a little tighter, throws crazy technique, and then very kind of orthodox. It's like having crazy technique with a jab.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but you got to set it up, bud. So, interesting fight. I have rooting interest. I won't lie about that.
Yeah. Funny enough, that's why I picked Garbrandt in that fight as well. I thought Thomas Almeida, especially when he's trying to get out of range, out of the pocket, he leaves himself way open. That's why I'm going to pick Rob Font. I think Rob Font's going to land something on him.
He's got a little, like a thin neck and a kind of like pointy chin. Those are always chinny guys too.
Remember this weekend we just spoke about him, me and you, Duho Choi versus Jeremy Stevens. Something similar. Just catch him on the way out.